Hello and welcome to episode 7. I actually know the episode this week, John. Episode 7 of Let's Grill Jon. I'm Phil Makepeace, joined as always by John McKenzie. How is John doing today?
Yeah, good. I have to offer an apology for my background. I am in the family room that my brother decorated when he was 14 years old. So apologies if anyone's having any sort of synapsal shutdown at the moment.
I must admit, I quite like it. It makes it look like some kind of dungeon, like where you just have someone, like, I don't know, where you'd like have big parties and everyone's just doing that kind of Austin Powers groovy thing where they're just going around and enjoying the various shapes on the wall while under the influence of various.
That's what I'm going for.
Today we are going to be looking at a game from 1851. John, how was 1851?
The heady days of the mid-19th century. I remember them well.
So yeah, but what marks this game out, and what marks talking about this person, Leonid Kisaritsky, out, is that we're actually not going to look at one of his wins, because the game he's best known for is a defeat. It is the Immortal Game from London 1851, where he loses to Adolf Anderson. So actually, even though Christery this week, in episode 17, is going to be about Mr. Kisaritsky, I'll say that again, Mr. Kisaritsky, I think Chris might have some, if he's not on fire on when we record, may not have the best time saying that on multiple occasions. Hello to Benji in the chat, by the way. Welcome. Yeah, you're going to be playing as Mr. Anderson, as spelt slightly differently, but yeah, John is going to be playing as Adolf Anderson in the Immortal Game, and at certain points I'm going to grill him, see what he makes of it, and John is also going to be asking lots of questions like a toddler, and that is fine because that is the best way to learn, as we discussed in last week's episode, we reckon. How are you feeling about this, John?
Well, at the moment, yeah, fine. I don't know anything about this game, so...
Excellent. Best news ever. Right, okay, so it's a King's Gambit. Do you know the King's Gambit?
No.
Nope. Okay, right. So, what do you think the idea might be of this shove on move 2?
I guess you're opening the E-file, potentially.
Are you?
Well, if they take it.
Okay, so if you take it, that doesn't. If black takes, that doesn't really open up the E file. Which lines have been opened up? This pawn is very much still here.
What opened up by the taking of the F pawn?
Which lines? To remember, we're really thinking about where these pawns were, and how they've disappeared and how that affects the game. So these were where the pawns were. Incidentally, while John thinks, you may hear in the background a symphony by Schumann, which is also from 1851. We're trying our best to match the period of the music to the period of the game. Anyway, John, which lines have opened up as a result of these pawns disappearing?
I don't know. It doesn't seem like anything that isn't already there in the move before.
Well, really, we're looking for this, yeah? So this is what's happening with the King's Gambit, the difference between these two positions. Okay, so what's happened is that the line to the king is open, but every time you move your F pawn, that is going to open. The line to a potentially castled king has opened. But what does white get in return for this? Because it looks like it's just lines towards the king, the white king that are opening. What does white gain as a result of this pawn capturing?
I guess there's a huge amount of openness, and you're controlling the centre, and there's the pawn sort of hanging in no man's land. Absolutely.
So this pawn itself is not a great extra pawn. It's quite weak. The loss of control of d4 might be quite important for later on. Equally, there's some space. What if white does manage to castle? The F file is the one that might be opening rather than the E file. So white's next move comes along with this kind of idea. So bishop c4. Now there's so many. There's been so much discussion of the King's Gambit. It's not really played anymore at the top level because it's just thought of as being bad for white. It's not a worthwhile sacrifice. But in 1851, it was the bee's knees. So Queen h4 check, King f1. So already white is forfeited castling, but black's queen has come out early, and yeah. It's all going to be a bit fun, this game. So b5. I mean, it just looks complete. This looks like a game, really, that you'd get in like a coffee shop, or between, dare I say it, you and your nephew. But what's happening here is that black is just trying to do the same kind of thing of giving a pawn back so that this bishop can come out quickly and start to go after the squares on the white king side. Bishop takes b5, knight f6, knight f3, and queen h6. So now, this is a completely balmy position, really. There's nothing particularly good about this for either side. However, this queen is a bit marooned now, and so what we're going to try to do as white here is just play fairly normally, or just do as much as we can that's still going to be sort of standard opening things. But obviously we forfeited castling, so that's something to think about. So what I would like is a plan and a move here, please, John.
Well, I guess the king is exposed, so it might be worth going through the centre.
Okay, good. Especially given you've distracted this pawn away.
The immediate concern, I suppose, is the e pawn. You need to defend, so you could bring out the knight to c3 and develop a piece and start moving towards them, controlling the centre and trying to keep that control.
Okay, so yeah, knight c3. These are this kind of thing. I think that we could be a bit more direct against this. This queen is how many safe squares does that queen have right now?
One.
Let's just name the squares.
Okay. G6. H5.
Yeah, it's only two. So that's not many, and these pieces are all in the way. So knight c3 would be okay. However, it's not going to do anything that would. So basically, knight c3 is an okay developing move. It does defend the pawn on e4. However, it doesn't do anything else. If we can do, let's say, a developing move that also defends the pawn and also starts going after the queen, that would be even better, right?
D3 then.
D3, yeah. Now the best move here is actually D4 because there's a reason why this pawn is thought to be immune from capture. I don't think it's actually that much better than D3, but you're giving up a second pawn for just some more tempo. So queen e2, something like f5, and then we can bring the knight out, and we're starting to put some serious pressure on the knight and also therefore on the king. But I like d3 just as a very simple thing of just everything's defended and we're opening up this bishop to start thinking about looking at the queen. And this knight probably belongs here, and we can just do that at some other point maybe. Right, knight h5. Now what? What is the threat to begin with? Black is abandoning all of these pieces to try and do stuff on the king side.
Yeah.
What is the threat?
What's the threat for black? Well, I suppose at some point he might try and play the fork on the king and the rook.
We can do it. If let's just say I just play a random move. Yeah, we've got this immediately, where this pawn is pinned because the queen would just come down and snaggle the rook, and if the king moves out of the way, then the knight gets the rook instead. So this would win the exchange. So we've got to do something about that.
I guess you could move the king across to g1,
Sorry.
or you could move the knight across to g1.
Okay, so which one?
I guess you want to move the knight.
To
No, sorry, the rook.
rook to g1. Okay.
Yeah.
Rook g1 would be an alright move. Yeah, it's not a bad idea. Get out of the pin. You might even be preparing to do some stuff up here and bring this rook out that way. Yeah, absolutely. Rook g1 would not be a bad move at all. White preferred knight h. In fact, I think rook g1 is probably objectively the best move. Knight h4 was chosen, and yeah, this is what we're going to find, is that in this age, play was very inaccurate, and there's going to be lots of swings from one side to the other. And yeah, this game's no different. When knight h4 is not really the way to go, I think your move rook g1 is definitely the best. Queen g5. Knight came into f5. And then c6 was played by Kisaritsky. Okay, so I mean, it's just a complete mess, of course, and black hasn't done anything with these pieces yet. Nowhere near castling. But frankly, white hasn't really done much either. We've still both only got 2 pieces out, because let's count it. So bishop's moved once. This knight's moved 3 times. This knight's moved twice. The queen has moved 3 times. King's moved once, which therefore, I mean, it's just a kind of a game where if you're going to talk about tempo, this is going to make you want to scream. It's just got nothing to do with anything. However, one thing we can talk about with regards to tempo is attacking with it. So I would like you here to do an attack with tempo. So when we've got our choices, when we've got an attack, we've got our A, B, C, D, E, right? Avoid, block, capture, defend. Say that again. Avoid, block, counter-attack, defend, eat. Those are the 5 options. And we're going to think about a counter-attack here for white.
In terms of attacking a piece of similar value.
Similar or higher value. Doing something else. Leaving this bishop to its fate, perhaps. And doing something else.
I guess you could attack the queen with the h pawn.
Okay, so let's look at h4. And if I play queen g6... The problem you've got is that...
You've now no longer defended that knight move. Yeah.
Well, you've also, you've just given me that g3 square forever. And that's going to be an issue. Let's just look at this pawn chain. What does this suggest to you?
You should attack down the king side.
Yeah, there we go. Good. Always play it in the direction of your pawn chains. This bishop has marooned itself, and it's no longer really a relevant piece.
So you think you should just drop it back to?
Well, no, because that's not a counter-attack.
No. I don't see many counter-attacks, to be honest, other than...
Okay, so the move is g4. It's garbage. Okay. It's absolute garbage, but it's played in the correct spirit of 1851, and yeah, it's just it doesn't stand up to any kind of modern scrutiny. Black can just play g6 here, and then white has to take, and then black can probably just take this guy, and then you get these kind of lines where it's just fine, but there's nothing really happening. Okay, either way, Kisaritsky played knight to f6, and then we get your move rook g1, and suddenly we're threatening to do things to this queen in a big way. Black took the bishop. h4, queen g6, h5, queen g5. So we've now got an enormous amount of space on the king side here as white. This pawn is not long for this world. Black is completely underdeveloped. Having said that, white isn't too far ahead in or too far behind in the lack of development stakes. That steeplechase has still got a decent amount of time to run. But okay, we have an opportunity here now that this queen has 0 moves. We have an opportunity to start just casually threatening things and making black's life miserable. So, what would you like to do next?
Well, I suppose if you plonk the queen on f3, you then open up the pawn to be won by the bishop, and the queen has to retreat. In fact, it's just going to lose.
So queen f3 is the move. Now, how do you think black can get out of this then? Bishop takes f4 is threatened.
He's going to have to sacrifice the knight, I suppose.
Does the knight have anywhere that it can go that wouldn't be a sacrifice?
Oh, it can drop back to...
Yeah, it has to go back to g8, and it's just very miserable. The move that sort of computers suggest now is bishop b7. This is stuff that was completely beyond these guys, but you can get this kind of thing where, do you see what's going on here? So let's knight takes g4, and what happens if bishop takes queen? What does black have here as a resource?
A fork.
Yeah, lovely. So this now, but it's white is still doing very well and has lots of space, and the black king is going to be marooned even with the queens off. So this would have been a nice try, but knight g8 was played by Mr. Kizaritsky. Bishop takes pawn anyway. And this is just where it starts to get pretty horrible. So knight queen f6. This knight finally comes out, but you can see the difference now that this knight is underdeveloped itself. It's only black's queen that's out, and suddenly all of these pieces, plus these guys have really good centre.
And the rook's just free to come across to the e file as well.
I mean, any of this kind of stuff could happen. Yeah, absolutely. All of these moves might not work. Just had it said in the chat that I'm presenting you with a game that's horrendous. It is, but it's a classic. It's the immortal game for reasons that will become clear. Not this.
So that's the sort of game that I play. So
yeah, I mean this bit isn't immortal, but this bit isn't immortal. But what comes is quite fun. So we'll have a look at that. So knight c3, bishop c5. Black finally brings out another piece, and it's not going to be a lot of fun. Continue your attack, John. We're allowed to laugh at this. This was 169 years ago. These guys were... I mean, as you can see from this guy didn't even have his photo taken. He just had some kind of sketch artist in a pub draw him at some point.
So do you attack the queen then with knight to d5?
Knight to d5 is absolutely fine. That is the move played. I think d4 is probably slightly better because it interrupts both of these attacks, and it means that but if white had played d4 here, if Anderson had played d4, I don't think we'd be talking about this game, because what happens next is why it's called the immortal game. So knight d5, queen takes b2. Right, now the way I'm going to frame this is I would like you to look for the stupidest move possible. Sacrifice as much as you possibly can. Look for a move that invites as many sacrifices as possible, otherwise there's absolutely no chance of you getting it. So I would like you to try to go for the king, like proper kind of Route 1 Sunday League style. Go for the king, make things happen. But yeah, you're going to need a move here which just restricts the king as much as possible, while also sacrificing millions of pieces.
Well, the obvious king attack would be knight to c7.
Okay, so let's look at knight to c7. I'll play here. I mean, knight to c7, Actually, threatens to win material. There's not going to be much
Yeah,
sacrificing going on
that's
here.
what I was thinking. It was too good.
It's too good. I mean, it's just. But I mean, we've talked a bit on the podcast about how in before like the First World War, it was like thought of as disrespectful in football to pass and disrespectful in chess not to accept sacrifices. So we've got to put ourselves in this paradigm of like the best chess was considered the most dangerous, I suppose.
So you basically just wanting me to throw away a piece?
I want you to try to create a mating net, but it's going to be a way that, that does sacrifice a whole bunch of material. Because at the moment, both rooks are threatened.
Yeah. Okay, I'll move my bishop to g5.
Okay, bishop to g5 is a good attempt. Bishop to g5 looks at these this square, and yeah, that's not a bad attempt. The move that was played was bishop to d6, which looks at two squares the king. I know these knights are already looking at I know these knights are already looking at e7, but the fact that the bishop is covering both of these, it just makes it that one little bit better. And actually, I mean, let's say queen takes e1, king e2, and queen takes g1. Why? What is the sting here? Where's your mating net that you've been set up? How are you going to get mate in 2 here?
You can. I mean, I guess you could take on g7.
Where's your mate?
And then bishop to e7. Oh. Queen to f. Nope, you don't want to do that.
Well, queen to f6 doesn't actually interrupt the next move. You could just gratuitously sacrifice your queen here, and it would be exactly the same.
Well, now you could move bishop.
Bishop where?
c7.
Yeah, it doesn't. Attacking the queen is just completely gratuitous, but doesn't affect the game whatsoever. So this is the idea. This is the mating that you're trying to set up here. So, oops. All right, that's not what we wanted. Let's go back. Okay, so the bishop d6 was played, which is completely, just complete nonsense. But anyway, bishop takes g1, and this is the issue. What's the best way for black to have gone would be to play queen b2 here, where the queen still keeps an eye on both of these squares that white would need to get the mate. But here white might take on c5 and this kind of thing. I don't know. It's just, I think it's quite good for black. So
could you just swap off the bishops anyway?
Well, it's.
I guess that bishop's quite good.
You are a rook down. This is the issue. But anyway, king e2, and then black played knight a6 with the idea of trying to stop all this. But it doesn't make a jot of difference, unfortunately. So. Oh, sorry, we have not had that. We had bishop g takes g1 first, didn't we? There we go. So bishop takes g1 was played. e5, and then queen takes here, and then knight a6. Right, mate in 3, Mr. Mackenzie, based on what we've just done.
Knight f g7.
Okay.
Queen f. No.
You're 2 rooks and a piece down. Get on with it. You're not going to be able
queen
to.
Is it queen to f7?
Queen to f7 would is not a check and would just allow mate by. What would it? Actually, maybe you're still threatening enough checkmates here to be it. Queen f7 would, I think, delay it slightly. I think it would delay it by a move. I'm not sure what black does, actually. Yeah, because there's like millions of mates. You probably have to do something like this. And then the mate's coming here or here, isn't it? Okay, so Queen f7 would be fine.
I think my way's more elegant.
Well,
it's like the opposite of Occam's razor.
Queen f6.
The slowest, most painful checkmate is the best one.
Queen f6 does threaten it. Is mate in next move though. So knight takes f6, and then where's your mate?
Yeah, I guess it's the same move we did. Oh no, it's the other way around. So D, moving your bishop to D, E, F, E7.
E7. So just these three minor pieces were good enough to get a checkmate against every single black plate. The only pieces that white has won are 3 pawns, but black's pieces are completely useless at defending against this mate. Yeah, the game is complete garbage, but it was fun, and that's what we like on our podcast, I suppose. We don't want to let facts get in the way of fun. Yeah, the Immortal game, this one, and the Count versus Morphy, and even like as late as Marshall's Queen G3 gold coins game, where allegedly, I'm almost certain it's apocryphal, where gold coins were splashed across the board when Marshall played this Queen sacrifice that led to forced mate or something. I mean, I think he offered it. The Queen could be captured in 3 or 4 different ways. Even as and that was around the First World War, I think, that game. The quality is going to be lower on these kind of Immortal games than, say, Kasparov's Immortal against Topalov in 1999 and his one against Shirov in 94, and all of these that, yeah, just stand up to computer testimony as well. But this is just quite a fun mating net with 3 minor pieces. And I'm sure that Chris Russell will have a lot to tell us about Mr. Kieseritzky when we record episode 17 tomorrow. How was that, John? I'm not sure there were many learning points today.
Well, I don't know. How not to play.
How not to play, how not to... I mean, basically the King's Gambit is just complete wildcard madness, and it was played in a very sort of free and easy way back in the day. But I think the main message here for both sides is to castle. Just castle. Get castled, and then you're going to have none of this nonsense. Anyway, I will leave you to your nap, Mr. Mackenzie. I know you're feeling a bit sleepy. I'm going to be back at 9 PM with First to 4 Charity Blitz. So maybe see you then. But until then, thank you, John.
Thank you.
And see you soon.